Good morning, everybody. It is Selfie Care Saturday, okay, with Julian Gems with Farley and Friends. So I just woke up at 6:10 a.m. here on Eastern Standard Time, and I was just wanting to say something to everybody who's been struggling and they've been going up and down like a roller coaster in their emotions. That there is definitely, we all know that there's some kind of light somewhere that we can hold on to as we get through one trial and tribulation at a time. Sometimes there's two, three, or four things going on at one time, which can scatter our minds. And that's why with meditation, they always try to have it to where you have a candle on, but having or some type of natural light to relax to. Um, However, closing your eyes, people are like, I can't do it. I just can't sit there. But it's mainly to allow your thoughts to flow, and you don't always have to have it in darkness. However, the color black today symbolizes embracing what we don't know, embracing the unknown. And that's what we want to be able to talk about because we're talking about, and we all know, okay, first of all, color black is translucent light that comes through. So there is that shine that comes in there that makes it dark. And what we have to do is navigate ourselves through the darkness. Am I right? So I think that what we should be doing is understanding the difference. When I put up the colors, it is not to say, oh, yay, she's saying it for a certain race. No, it is about being able to identify that type of color. And people always think, of course, of death and things of different other dark stuff, but also it's can make us slimming. And I think a lot of people wear black. I'm like, okay, yeah, it makes me look slim and those types of things. But today we're centering in on being able to go mentally into the unknown, being prepared, which is preparing your spirit to guide you as a human being through the darkness. And so for me, I know I have been going through quite a lot and since 2023. Actually, when the pile-on came with my sister dying in December of 2023, my eldest sister, and then my daughter in January of 2024, 10 minutes before she got to the hospital was good. And they were able to save her life because if she had been there 10 minutes later, she would have passed away. Now that is some dark stuff. And my sister was in the hospital for about 5 or 6 weeks. My daughter was in the hospital 5 weeks after that in January of 2024. The ironic thing was that I don't know, you like consequences, not consequences, excuse me. When you have that type of coincidence where my daughter ended up being in the same room, in the, oh, excuse me, it's hard to talk about for a moment. When they had to put her in ICU, they ended up putting her in the same room that my sister passed away in. Now, you want to talk about a dark time. I had texted my cousin while my daughter was in there and said, is this, I mean, what is the universe saying to me at this point? Because even with the nurse, when I walked into the ICU and I saw her, and I always wanted to thank her again because she was really great with my sister. And so, up until her last moment, that lady was with us, and I appreciate what doctors, nurses, CNAs, all of everybody that works in the hospital, the maintenance, everybody. I really appreciate it because everybody keeps hospitals up and running. so that way we can maximize the best care. And when I say we as human beings, we can optimize the best care for people here. So I am grateful for the healthcare system. I'm grateful for all of those that have cared for me and for my family, friends, and loved ones. It is a tough thing. So when I walked in there and I saw the lady and was having to ask her a question because I didn't know she was in the ICU until I went to go visit. They had to rush her up there. And so she just looked at me and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And I told her that Beauty was in there and she's in the same room as my sister who passed away. And she looked at the name, and my daughter's name is basically the same as my oldest sister's name. I added a few other names into her so that way there's a distinction. Which she doesn't complain about, but boy, did my children complain when how many names I gave them. But anyway, the point being was that that was one of the low dark points last year, and I was trying to figure my way through before I got sick again, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is unusual, and ended up with some complications in my stomach, and then boom, find out later on that I have stage 1 lung cancer in the in December because I ended up getting the testings done in November and was sent to a radiation oncologist. So even during that time, I was fighting to stay positive. I was fighting. Actually, I really didn't even think I digested the fact that I didn't even really tell anybody for about a month. It didn't come out of my mouth that I had cancer because, first of all, and you'll be able to read a lot of this in my chapter of the anthology, Girl, Don't Count Yourself Out. And by the way, there are 5 other people that have awesome, amazing, strong stories along with me. And I have to give out a lot of love and blessings to Sabrina Thomas, who has worked vitally hard. Um, and she just puts everything into every project she does to make this so much more seamless for us as authors because she's that kind of person, and I'm grateful that I met her. And so being on this anthology, her second edition, You Can't Give Up Now, spoke to me so highly, and I had to get it out. I had to learn how to get out these feelings. And I also did that on Cold December with Wicked Low, and it was with It's Real and Velo's dog called Cold December, and I wrote about my sisters because both of them passed away in the month of December. So, with all that being said, I had to learn how to keep writing, keep getting things out, and then writing for the chapter. I wrote it in a couple of weeks and made sure that I had it gotten some editing to it, and then sent it in a couple of weeks because it was exciting. It was something that I had to get out. I forced myself to get out because I could feel that dark place coming. I could feel the darkness looming. And particularly it's holiday time and not having, my sister around anymore and stuff like that. It was all new. It was all just terrifiably new, but I kept moving with every project and setting up already at the end of December my 2 spoken word albums to come out this year. So I kept on going and writing and working with things, but things started taking a turn. Things started to fall apart here and there. Um, and it wasn't just with me, it was with others who were going through so much. And so my projects got halted. Then it was okay, stomach issues still going on. Lost over 60 something, close to 70 pounds. Um, yeah, actually, it was 70 pounds that I ended up dropping, and I did not understand why. It was a fast moving thing. I know a lot of people would be like so ecstatic if they had lost 70 pounds because I know people's goals are even just to lose 10 pounds. But it didn't feel good and it really complicated the way I felt during my radiation. Now, because it's stage one, they do 5 treatments and then they go back and they have to wait because you're still radioactive. So they have to wait until June to get another PET scan and see what's going on in there to see if they were able to do it because I wasn't able to get a biopsy done, and that was due to the fact that my health was so poor. Taking the chance of getting me under anesthesia and opening me up to take out whether it was the tumor or if it was to take the lobe out itself, the upper lobe, which scared the bejesus out of me, but you got to get things done. However, because of my health going through that transition and certain things were changing with particularly with my nervous system and all, the risk of me doing that was not good at all. In fact, it wasn't in my favor to do so. So they had to do that. Plus, usually people with cancer have go home with medications so that way I can keep on, so that way I can go ahead and do it. Well, that's not my case. That's why I will not say that whether or not that I've been able to defeat this cancer, even though it is, yes. Again, I'm blessed because we got to catch things early to do stage one. It is a concern of mine that is on my brain that I never thought I was going to have to think about. And I will talk about that pact with God later. The 30-year pact that got broken. So it kind of crushed my spirit, but that was one of the things that came into my darkness. And that ultimately became the thing that took me down and shattered me in my mind because everything else was like, okay, this is doable, but even for me to be touched with cancer, and I was like, okay, why in the world, that pact that my sister June Grace made with God in 1993 to let cancer be taken with her and that we not be touched again. With it in our family for 30 years, we weren't. Me and my other two sisters that are surviving, we were being able to go through. Now, we dealt with a whole lot of other stuff. And when my sister passed away in 2023, it definitely wasn't cancer, which didn't make me feel any better, but I'm just saying it wasn't cancers. So I just didn't think that with me, even with the thought that something was going on with my lung, that and I remember just terrified my eldest sister who passed away before she died, that or because it was so unexpected. That's one of the things that just out of the blue, like you're just gone, and then when you see somebody take their last breaths and they're here and then they're gone right in front of your eyes, it just does something quite different that put me in a different space and to keep pushing. But what I'm here to say is that the self care, when we're embracing the unknown, when we're embracing that color and going in mentally, we want to be able to be guided and let go of certain things, be aware of certain things, and how to maneuver through. So when we're meditating, it's not always about being silent as far as our mind goes, because that's really not where you're going to be when you're sitting down and you're going through. You're not going to be in a quiet space. Your mind is loud. However, the point is to get it to quiet down, to be able to breathe through it all, because all of our systems run and are through our nervous system. Like we have to acknowledge that no matter what we're going on, we feel that anxiety, the nerves. We always hear those words, the panic, being fearful or angry. all these different things affect our nervous system. And for me, I understand it so well having PTSD and panic and anxiety disorder is that we have to be able to rein it in, take care of ourselves. The absolute gorgeousness outside is one of the ways that we can get out there. Because I know everybody doesn't live where I live, but we're breaking into some really great spring weather that's pretty much stuck, except for last night when it got cold, as I don't know what, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay. Yeah, I said it was cold. I had all my windows down. I threw on a little bit of heat earlier this morning because I was just like, no, okay, just don't make me go backwards, which is a mindset. But anyway, I woke up and to the sun rising, and then I said, you know what, let me go in live and just have people understand why I do the colors as a crystal medicine practitioner. I learned about the colors, the gemstones, and all the chakras that they related to, how they related to it. And I won't go into a deep discussion because I'm going to come back on again later on today. I just wanted everybody to wake up and say, you know what? Embrace the quiet. If your mind is going everywhere, go ahead and embrace the unknown and saying, okay, what I can do and I control of, I keep doing what I do. The unknown will come, and I will give myself grace and mercy to allow it to come. And when it does come, I have the faith and the strength and the fortitude, the willingness, the willpower, all that good stuff, the knowledge, the wisdom to see it through because it can easily take us out. Now, is it always going to be that case? No, but that's why we have friends. That's why we have family. That's why we have people out there. And it's not a family where it has to be blood family all the time. It could be people that you're blessed with meeting online or meeting, in other places in which you have a bond where you can call somebody, they can pray with you, they can light a candle and hold a space for you. There's many different techniques that we can do and utilize, and I'm not one to tell somebody what doesn't work except for when you have dark intentions. When you're trying to hurt somebody or bring harm to somebody in darkness, that will come out in light as well. And karma, or if people say the Most High is taking his hand away from people so they can go through, whatever your belief system is, the bottom line is that we suffer. And how to stop the over suffering to the point where it breaks our mentality, it breaks our spirit, is through meditation. And it is into embracing the unknown. We don't know. I don't know what is going to happen today. I have plans on jumping on a call with other authors, and that's basically what I have planned for today, other than to relax. For a change, I've been running. So today I actually am going to be able to enjoy this beautiful weather. I'm hoping to make it to the festival that is going on around here in my area, which MC Light is going to be there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, supposed to start at 1 o'clock. So, people are going to be there at 10 a.m. in line and stuff like that. And so with my physical health, it's like, okay, I really want to get up there. So I'm trying to get my body relaxed because MC Light is one of my favorite and all-time favorites will be that I look up to as a hip hop artist, a real lyricist, because she came out strong, and I just vibed with everything that she stood for, and her voice, and the way she was able to just lay it down like that. And so it would be an honor, and also, don't get me to lying, I believe it's Slick Rick or is it oh shoot, wait a minute. I have to look at the flyer, so I don't want to lie to you guys. Because trying to think off the dome of all the people that are going to be there in Baltimore, Maryland today, right up here in the Park Heights community. Shout out to Park Heights, Renaissance, and all those people who gathered together to bring this show here to Baltimore. Bring it here on the Heights is something quite amazing and quite special. So again, something that I looked at and I was like, ooh, the unknown, somebody I could possibly meet. Now, if it happens to be that my physical will not be able to take it or stand for it, then am I going to be crushed? Yeah, kinda. Not gonna lie. However, am I going to allow it to ruin my mood? No, because if I do that, then I will not make it to the next day. Then I won't make it to be able to do anything. So right now I'm just chilling out. I'm not even allowing myself to think about, okay, what time I would have to leave, and what time I would want to be able to get there, and how long will I be able to stay due to my condition and all that. I'm just flowing with it. I'm just going with it. I'm just not, I'm going with the unknown because to me, that I don't find myself getting so disappointed. I don't come down so hard on myself. I don't come down so hard on my mentality of why when I'm vibrant and ready to go, and sometimes it's like, okay, body, come on with me, and it's like dragging, like, okay, you go. My body's like, you go, but my mind's gonna, take your mind and go anywhere you want to, but the body's gonna stay here. So it's like, okay, that whole struggle, and I know some people can really understand this when you're dealing with chronic illness, chronic pain, okay? But it does not mean life is over. It does not mean that, okay, you know what, I'm useless or I'm never going to be able to do anything. Those kinds of words, as we call stinking thinking, has to be gone. It has to be cut off. And I thank Dr. Ali Griffith again for having her 3-day clarity challenge this week because even though I did not get a chance to see day one, with something happened with my email and the link. So I didn't get to do the chance to do day one, but I was there in day two and then able to do day three. And I really was able to cleanse my brain. That's something that we have to do all the time is making sure that we're cleansing the brain because the more doubts that we have, the more naysaying that's going through our own brain, then the more we find ourselves stuck, the more that we find ourselves hurting. And it's not to say that some people don't try. It is that some folks, it really just tears them apart. And therefore, I see the negativity. And there's one gentleman that I know, he always wonders why he doesn't get visitors. And he would always tell other people, it's because of his disability and nobody wanted to really deal with him in that way. And it was totally the opposite, because he's really a cool person, actually. Very knowledgeable, very wise, very funny. A person who started out here in Baltimore when we really had a lot going on in this city, and it was not my city because I was not born here, so I cannot claim all the greatness that was done here. But being a Marylander, I got to see what it was like in stages as I grew up. And I just thought that it was something special that he had did and was able to break through in the arts and stuff so early in life and be one of those people that is still remembered today. However, due to certain things that are going on and illnesses, ailments, nothing but pain though, every day, unfortunately, the attitude is what was the problem. And I remind myself all the time when I start to be snappy or my voice gets higher up or whatever, that I'm like, okay, you gotta take control. You gotta be able to um, take it down a notch because it's not good for my health. Number one, it's not good for my mentality, and it's not good for others because we're putting out that thing in the air. And so I said, I don't want to be this way. I want to make sure I don't get that way. where people cannot be around me at all or tolerate me at all, because it is not about my mobility and things that I can't go places or do the norm, like jumping on my bike in the morning and just riding, or just taking a jog and having my boxing gloves on so that way I can keep my upper body going while my lower body. Certain things may not come back to me, some things will. I don't know, and I cannot put a whole lot of care other than the care for myself right now. And that's one of the things I don't ever want to do is be a Scrooge. I do not want to be bitter. I want to be better. So I keep putting that in my mind, and anytime I become bitter and I become crushed, then I know that I've slipped on doing my homework every day, and that is washing away everything of the day and picking up what I did great, and picking out that if I live to see another day, what I have to do the next day. So when they talk about electronics and things like that being in the bedroom, I know a lot of people, including myself, is like, okay, I'll try and I do. Sometimes I've gotten better with the TV and being able to shut it down. And with my phone, I will put it on Do Not Disturb easily. Or now I even put it on sleep mode at a certain time so that way I do not get any messages at all. I don't see anything. Um, because I need that. I need that timing. Where at one point I couldn't even imagine that I was able to do so, because I would get the phone calls, phone calls, phone calls when you have somebody in your life or some bodies in your life with disabilities that you have to take care of. Then that's something that I ended up having to do. So with the phone in particular, I'm a stickler for being able to say, okay, now I will keep my phone line open until a certain point, and then I have to rest, or when I do meditate, whatever the case may be, and I cannot be worried about, oh my gosh, you know what, I missed this phone call, or whatever the case may be, because I have to keep myself together and balanced, and so do you. We have to maintain a certain balance. We have to maintain what we go through and how we are able to adapt. And so I just want to say on this Selfie Care Saturday that please embrace the unknown and say that's going to happen, and embrace who you are. Embrace the fact that you've been able to get through, and saying, you know what, I do not have to have what Dr. Ali reminded us, and so many others that we've always used, the thinking, the thing that is so negative that's going on in our head, that it's like, okay, it's time to break that bad boy. It's time to get rid of it. And it's a process of second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour process. And we're like, okay, well, you know what? I'm tired. Okay, if we were just doing that kind of work. However, there's nothing more tiring than keeping the same mindset that has that is riddled with negativity, that is riddled with beating you up, that's riddled with not giving you any type of grace, any type of mercy, to give yourself a break and say, you know what, this is too much. I'm not able to do all this. Why am I, allowing myself to be shredded when other people might do it, or we even sometimes do it our own selves, and nobody is giving us that shredding, or tearing us apart. It's our own thoughts. It could be something that we grew up and how we grew up. No matter what the circumstances is, always understand that we have the ability to change. We have the ability to take it one step at a time and just say, okay, let me develop my patience. Let me develop my knowledge and wisdom and understanding of things. Let me develop my perseverance, my willingness and willpower. All these things that we can develop, being relaxed, being able to look at the sun and say, okay, I'm going to allow the light in my darkness and see what I can do to keep moving through and being productive, being able to be fruitful, because we always hear the word being busy. And that is true. We get out there and we doing things. At the end of the day, though, is it being fruitful? Is it doing something that adds to your life? And when it does, it should be celebrated. Even a small thing like, hey, I went grocery shopping today. I despise going up in that store, but I did it. You know what I mean? And I just put a smile on my face and I went ahead and I did it because I want to be okay with the fact that I didn't feel like going in there. I don't want to deal with people. I don't want people's attitudes. I don't want anybody talking and saying hi to me. I know there's people out there that understand what I'm saying. Where you're just like, no, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to do anything. Um, but that's a win because you did it. And so trying not to do too much of fussing about it, but just saying, okay, I know I don't like it. I know I don't want to, care about doing that today, but it's necessary. And so you're going to feel better because you're going to have the food and, you know, the whatever drinks you need out of there, and it's going to nurture your body. So we need nurturing. If we don't get nurturing, then what happens? We all know what happens when you don't get the nutritions that you need. So that's why I'm grateful. And it goes back to Dr. Ali with the 3-day challenge because my spirituality has been the biggest thing right now that I've been struggling with. Yes, it's been my body and my mind, but ultimately it's because my spirit took hits on things, particularly with the cancer. That was the main thing that took a hit that really just took me on a downward spiral mentally. And so I got back up, and when I went into that challenge, immediately I went back into saying, wait a minute, Christy, you fell off. Come on back. So we need people to remind us that, okay, the simplest things that we already know, but life can take us away from easily, what we know and what we normally do. So it's being that stickler to have a routine. And I know that it's hard for certain people to have a routine because all their life they might have been in a routine setting so much like we were that once you end up getting off that routine, which for me it was more so when my children, uh, Beauty, everybody knows with autism, even though there were certain things that I'm glad that I didn't go through, there was other things that I really had to go through. And because of her situation and circumstances, I don't want to say too much because of all this until I know more about this registry and all that other kind of stuff. But it was really difficult to for me because once my kids got to bed, went to sleep and all that, I was up and I was literally trying to come down from the day, and by the time that I ended up coming down from the day, then it was time to get up again. And I know some of you are out there that understand that. So it started throwing my sleep schedule off where I would have the TV on because before I could never stand the TV. I might listen to some soft music, but even that I would want to be quiet. So it would affect it, so I became more out of routine. Now that I've gotten back into routine, sometimes it was easy to just be like, okay, you know what, I'm just not going to do this today. I'm just tired. And I'm rolling from one thing to another and I have to calm down. But I did not calm it in the way that I know how to do it in the meditation sense and praying and being able to understand and fully putting it away, and it got overwhelming and it just slammed me, and then I just fell down and I was like, okay, get back up. So a quick get up is good because I've already know that what I'm doing was wrong. I was really coming down hard on myself. I was coming down hard on my faith. Um, and I always call it my spirituality because people say religion, but for me, religion becomes into your spirit. And so being able to understand my love for Jesus and then being able to open up more to other religions and how it really coincides with a lot of of my beliefs and being able to take it to that next level and saying, yeah, I have this absolute love for Jesus, and I've also been taught by things by Buddha or Lord Shiva, or even with Elijah Muhammad, Gandhi, different people that have come along, and we look at what they're saying, and we're looking at their walk in life and the main purpose of what we're here for, then you can adapt without having to change entirely who you are and your belief system. For me, it's an add-on, it's a beautiful addition to understand all of the things that people have done, all the things that their belief systems in which coincides with mine, being good to others, being good to yourself, taking care of the way that you take care of yourself, and not being blinded to spiritual does connect into humanity. And so therefore you just can't sit around and pray for money or pray for certain things and you just don't get it. And then it's like, wait a minute, what happened? I prayed. Well, you have to have faith and action. So there is a lot of that where that's not even, I don't think, should be religious. It's just a walking hand in hand of life, that if you don't have the both of them together, and fully understand that in here on this earth, we have to move, we have to be able to do things and get things done in order to have some type of a balanced life, so have some type of goodness. Now, depending on where you find yourself successful is up to you. Don't let the world tell you what is successful, because you don't have to make a certain amount of money to be successful. People want to sit up there and torment and torture those that they deem unsuccessful because of the finances that they have, but not looking at the richness of the person and what they've got inside, what they've got around them. And that's a huge mistake to think. And even sometimes with myself, I will think that way. And I'm like, wait a second, why are you looking on the outside? Even though I know what I'm capable of, and getting stopped with it by the health issues can be very frustrating. And again, going back into meditation, saying embrace the unknown, because now I'm on a fast track to really getting into what I do and loving it and being able to go forward. And so the things that I had to put off for 20 something years because of family, for my children, and now I would do it again. I always try to say that I would do something different, but I'm like, what could you do different? So even being disabled, uh, due to a disability that, it was not of my fault nor of the person who injured me. It was one of those things that, I would always say to myself, would you do things differently now? And sometimes it would be, yeah, because, now you can't do this, you can't do that, and you're still vibrant and vital, and you could be doing this and that. And then I'm like, hold on, could be is the word. What can I do now is the concept, and staying on task, making sure that I have a routine in which allows me to deal with the unknown, to embrace the unknown, because sometimes even in the unknown of darkness, clarity will come through, uh, resol- revelations will come through, how to resolve issues, all that stuff will come through, and it's right on time. And just when you think that you can't give a millimeter more, and that's how I was feeling, and I know it, I just can't give no more, then there's a breakthrough. And so even though it's hard to tell people find joy in that, because I know I don't quite find joy, because I don't know when the when the suffering will end. But when it does, then it's like, it's like this beautiful day I'm looking at now, where the sun is just fully is coming all the way, into my windows. I threw open all my curtains so that way I can just get all this nice light in here and just start a new day and let yesterday be yesterday. Last week be last week, and let today be today, and cleanse and clear. And I will do it again tomorrow for Mother's Day. Which happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. I'm going to be saying it all weekend, because those of us that have taken care of our children, and you don't even have to be a let me put it this way, let me phrase it this way. You could be a guardian. They say caregivers because that's what it was. I mean, now they use it more so than when I had beauty and it was like, "Oh, okay, well, you're taking care of your child and everything else, and you got your other 2 children to take care of," but they didn't look at me so much as a caregiver as that word now, um, in the past 10 years has really given, and has done service to those parents who have to stay home, that has to care for a child, their child, or a child that is in desperate need of your attention 24/7. So I want to shout out to all the beautiful mothers out there, the caregivers, the guardians that have find themselves in the position of, okay, you know what, we can do this, we can make this happen, and whether your child has a disability or not, giving them all the tools they need to succeed and breaking down the barriers of, okay, going backwards into, well, we don't talk to these people because of this color, or this religion, or this culture, or whatever. That has to be just we ramp that up so much, and it's like, why are we continuously going back in the history? This is what I mean by the things that can be frustrating, and getting people angry because we're going backwards in a situation where other people are happy that we're going backwards because they felt more comfortable then. So we have to just learn how to live in a world now where, and we have access to the entire world, where we can find our people, we can find those that we can relate to and become family. And so I'm grateful for that because I've had good people in my life that acknowledge me as being and doing really good with my children, even though I felt badly because just didn't think that these things, will continue to go on. So it's our thinking. Selfie Care Saturdays. Today, it's about your thoughts. Watch your thoughts. Watch what is coming in. Embrace the unknown. Being able to meditate, pray, relax, get in tuned, reset, rewind, and let's play out this day as beautiful as we know how. Those that are already in the afternoon or even the evening time, I'm hoping that you'll have time to reset and be able to relax yourselves because it's never a bad time to do it. We just want to do it in the morning times when we're refreshed, when we first get up, because what happens when you first wake up? You're thinking about the things you got to do today, okay? You're thinking about, okay, what's going to happen, what's going on, even to tomorrow, because I know people were already talking yesterday about what they got to do for the weekend. And so it's like, okay, but we can also slow down, take a moment for ourselves, breathe, let it out. Don't worry about anything else other than resetting yourself, staying in tune, allowing your spirit and your humanity to come together, align, and go out there and have the best day and enjoy your winnable moments, enjoy your fun moments, enjoy the fact that you even laugh. Celebrate those things. And it's like, okay, well, Christy, that sounds stupid to celebrate. You're laughing. Well, if you've been in a funk, if you've been in a depressive state and you laughed, that's a breakthrough. And we want to take every win and be like, yes, you know what? I ended up laughing at that. That's cool, because again, it's a mindset. And I've even found, and I'm going to leave it on this note, I even found that some people like to be mad. And when they would see me, they're like, okay, no, we don't want to talk to you, Miss Christie. Or, even if they're around the same age, it would always be that respect because they know I'm going to talk. And it's like, no, Miss Christie, I want to be mad. I don't want to sit there and talk to you. You know what I mean? And they start smiling, and everybody starts smiling. Like, no, I don't want to. And I was like, oh, okay, so you're choosing to go ahead and do that. Okay, all right, but I'll see you soon. You know what I mean? And it's a smile, but it just lets people know because sometimes we do get stuck in our heads. Is that when you let somebody else know that, hey, I do care, and I care. then even when somebody wants to go ahead and be in a fussing situation, you don't press on it. You just let them know, "Hey, I'm here." And it was cute because, the next day it was like, "Hey, Miss Christie, you know what I mean? We're ready to talk." Like, that kind of show up, "Hey, we're ready." And it's hilarious to me because I was like, "Okay, cool, let's go, let's talk and whatever we want to talk about. Even if you don't want to talk about what you're mad about or whatever, let's talk." But it brings people out of that situation, and I know because I've been brought out of that situation the same way. Even when I see somebody and I'll be like, get in a better mood automatically because of their energy, the way that they move. It's beautiful. And so we look at different things and different people and say, how do we get into our self-care? How do we get into that space, that mental space? And it is a hard road sometimes because we just didn't get into a certain thinking overnight. We didn't get into a certain situation overnight. And so therefore it may take time to be able to heal, and the body healing, the mind healing, whatever needs to be going on at the time that is included with your mental state, your spiritual, whatever it is, make sure that you can go ahead and own it and say, I can and I will. I have the capability of doing better and for myself, not a beat down. That's not what you need. You don't need to be torn and ripped apart. You need to have grace and mercy on yourself and say, I can and I will and I shall go ahead and make this a new day where I can be happy, where I can at least be relaxed, at least I can be calm, at least I can nurture myself, I can protect myself. I get the chance to love myself, to give myself grace and mercy. So that's my morning for Selfie Care Saturdays, and I'll be again on later on this evening. Definitely would like to hear from everybody. I went live. I didn't do anything fancy and getting on my computer and stuff like that. I was using my phone to just wanting to be able to say good morning to everybody. And let's start off this day right with embracing the unknown and embracing what we do know. Okay, you got this. Lots of love and blessings to you on this day. Be safe for those again on the afternoon and the evening. I hope that your day is going well, and I wish you a better day, evening, nighttime to rest well. And again, those that are celebrating out there, happy Mother's Day weekend. It is our time to say, you know what? We did it. We did it. We did it. We did it. We're doing it. We did it. We did it. We're doing it. Because it is such an honorable job. It is the most important job to take care of a life. And so be good with yours. Bye bye.